all the talk was about a spiritual pilgrimage. Well, today I'm going to talk about 4 components that make a journey into a spiritual pilgrimage, and I'm going to help you decide whether you want to name yours as a spiritual pilgrimage when you're in the Camino office in Santiago de Compostella. I'm Jeremiah Gibbs. I am the Camino guide. I have led over 90 pilgrims on Camino de Santiago, and I happen to also be a Christian theologian, which is going to help us with today's topic of what is a spiritual pilgrimage. Not every journey that we go on is a spiritual pilgrimage. I believe that there's 4 components that make a trip into a spiritual pilgrimage, and the first one is that the spiritual pilgrimage is a journey to a holy place. Now, this place may be holy because it's important to you personally. So, for example, if you made a trip to a family gravestone, or maybe you made a trip to your family home when you were young and you haven't been there in a while, and that place is considered holy because of its impact on you personally, then that could be considered a spiritual pilgrimage. Others will make spiritual pilgrimages because the site has a religious or spiritual significance. So the reason that Camino de Santiago makes its way to Santiago de Compostella is because the bones of St. James, the relics of St. James, are believed to be there. So that invests it with this holy significance. For me personally, I don't know if I even believe the stories of whether St. James relics are there, but for me, the Camino is a holy place because of the 1,000 years of people who have been making this pilgrimage. So that act, for me, has invested it with a religious significance. So there could be lots of reasons why you consider a place to be a holy place, but that journey to a holy place is a significant part of what makes something into a pilgrimage. The second thing that makes a spiritual pilgrimage is that it's a difficult journey. Now, for most of the time when we mean this, we mean that it's physically difficult. So it's a long walk, or in the case of Camino, it's over the mountains with a pack. But for some reason, you consider this to be a difficult journey. It may be emotionally difficult. It may be challenging in other ways. It may be expensive and that you have to invest a lot of time to be able to make this journey. So for some reason, you would consider the journey to be a difficult one, but sometimes it's the physical demands, the psychological demands that come on you during a pilgrimage that make for the space for you to be changed by it. And that leads us to our third component of what makes a spiritual pilgrimage. And a spiritual pilgrimage is intended to be for transformation. If you come back the same way that you left, then you haven't yet made a pilgrimage. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily in all cases that the change is going to be immediate. Sometimes that change is a gradual one that happens over time. Usually that spiritual or that transformative power comes from a combination of the first aspect, a journey to a holy place, and the second aspect, that it's a difficult journey. When you're making this journey to a holy place, a place that you consider to be significant, and it's a challenging journey, it's difficult to be able to make that journey, then there is a transformative power as you overcome the challenges, overcome the difficulties to achieve that goal, that spiritual goal that's out set before you. So I believe that this transformative power sometimes doesn't come until later. Sometimes we don't recognize it right on the journey itself. But I believe that transformation is an essential part of what makes something a spiritual pilgrimage. The fourth component that I believe makes something a spiritual pilgrimage is that it disconnects you from your routine. Now, each pilgrim is going to disconnect from their routine in a little bit different way, and I think there's lots of flexibility here in how you personally would choose to disconnect from your routine. It may be, for example, that you decide not to talk to relatives back home, that you decide not to carry a digital communication, your cell phone or computer or whatever that you would be communicating back home with. You may decide not to cut off all of those kinds of communications, to not communicate with work at all, those kinds of things, because that is one way of disconnecting from routine. But You already, just by virtue of going on a pilgrimage, you're already disrupting your routine because you're not going to work. You're not going to your regular breakfast spot. You're not going to your normal Friday afternoon, meetings. You're not doing the things that you normally do. And so it's a spiritual pilgrimage because it disconnects you from the regular routine of life so that you can begin to think about the things that most matter to you and that are most important to you. You take on a difficult journey. You take on a journey to a holy place. You take out a journey with intention to be changed, and you go out on a journey that is disconnected from your routine. And those four things together is what makes a trip into a spiritual pilgrimage. And this is different than the kind of tourist trip that many of us make. Often when we go on a tourist trip, we're going because we want to enjoy it, because we want to learn something maybe from the place that we're going to, but we don't go there thinking, I'm going to come back a different person. When you leave for your spiritual pilgrimage, go with the intention that you believe this could change your entire life and that you could walk away different. If you find content like this helpful, please like and comment on the video so that others will find it, and then subscribe so that you can come back. I do videos about Camino gear. I do videos about the whys and purposes of spiritual pilgrimage. And I also do videos about some of the specific sites and things that somebody would see, kind of the planning and logistics stuff about Camino de Santiago as well. I hope that you'll come back often and learn more.